take a long, hard look at this old floor, because it won't be here long. No, it's coming out. Finally, hear the squeaking, the cracking, and the... Oh my god. So, here's the plan. The plan is, I'm going to be removing the tile first. Now, I will be using proper PPE and all that crap. I know it's probably, the A word, but, I never had it tested, so... As far as what I'm going to do to dispose of it, I'm probably going to stuff it aside in some boxes until I can figure out how to do that. Because I have called every possible... I've exhausted my resources. Nobody can tell me what to do with it. Nobody has answers. So that's all I'm going to say about that. We're done talking about what it is and what it could be and how I'm going to get rid of it. Because I don't know. I honestly don't know. So, whatever. Underneath this is a layer of tar paper, which is glued down to plywood. I believe it's 7/8 plywood. And the plywood is actually in good shape. But I don't know to the extent of how good or bad it is. And I won't know until I tear this up. So what I'm saying is I already bought new plywood to put down over the subfloor, and then I bought some 1/4-inch Sureply, which is designed as an underlayment for vinyl composite tile amongst other materials, and that's going to go on top of the plywood. Now, if I do rip up the plywood that I bought to replace it with is actually 1/2 inch. I went with 1/2 inch because the 1/4-inch plywood is going to... Because I'm adding... Let me backtrack a bit. Back when they did these floors in the 1950s, and even prior, they used, regular sheathing grade plywood, maybe a smoother surface. I think they used a nice smooth surface. But what they would do is they would put tar paper down as a layer to eliminate any or to prevent defects in the plywood from showing through. We don't do that anymore. That's no longer a thing. So what modern construction flooring people do is, if they're doing a residential floor in vinyl, like what I'm going to be doing, they're going to use 1/4 ply, which is a finished grade, beautiful stuff. And it doesn't have any surface defects when it's installed properly. But the problem is, if I use 7/8 plywood that's on here now, and then I add a 1/4 inch on top of that, it's going to raise the floor by, class, 1/4 inch. I don't want to raise the floor. I want it to be flush with the hardwood and the rest of the house. I don't want a toe kicker, if you will, right there. But I might. If the plywood, it turns out to be salvageable underneath all this, and it's in really good shape. I know there's one spot right there by the dishwasher that's rotted that could be cut out and patched in. We'll see what happens. If it's really bad, it's all coming out. If it's really good, I might save it. I don't know yet. But if I do save it, all I'm going to need is a 4x8 sheet of 7/8 plywood. And that's that. And then I'll just patch in what I need to patch in. So, we don't know what we're going to find. But because there's a plywood shortage, I actually already bought, and I bought it about a month ago, 2 months ago, I bought 1/2 inch plywood to put down. What kind of floor am I putting in? Well, if you haven't figured it out, I'm doing a black and white checkerboard set at a diagonal, a 45-degree angle. So it'll be kind of like a diamond pattern, black and white. Looking at the kitchen, it was the only option. I did toy with the idea of using tile. But there isn't a tile on the market today that would look good in this kitchen. Everything that I'm seeing right now is trendy patterns that only work with trendy kitchens. This is not a trendy kitchen. This is a classic, kind of a farmhouse style kitchen from the 50s, even though we live in the city. But whatever. That's the look I'm going for. That's what was set up when I bought the place. That's the way it's going to stay. So, checkerboard pattern floor. Now all I got to do at this point is I can't start tearing stuff up until the little fur balls are gone, because I don't want them. Look at the little guys. They're gonna go to my girlfriend's mother's house along with her. They're gonna be camping, if you will, at my girlfriend's mother's house along with my girlfriend. So I'll be home alone for the week. So, short story long, I got to start moving some stuff into the living room. I got to take this cabinet, we're going to unlash it from the wall, put it on a two-wheeler and wheel it into the living room. Stove's got to be put on. I got 2 dollies. I'm gonna throw the stove on. Stoves are light, by the way. Electric stoves weigh nothing. There's no weight there. Now, moving this refrigerator was a freaking nightmare. Because I had to drag it sideways through this opening. This opening is only like 36 inches, and the fridge is 36 inches deep. So it was a challenge, but we did it. The 2 of us did it. I scratched the floor nice and good. Thank God I haven't refinished this floor, but I'm going to have to buy some of that RAM board shit when I put the fridge back. But the stove, I can put that on a two-wheeler very easily and just scuttle it in here. Or I'm going to put it on dollies and we'll just scuttle it into the living room. So that'll be exciting. Yeah, any questions? No? Alright. Alright, so this is what we got so far. That's 2 rows of tile, almost to the wall. But I'm going to stop now. It's getting kind of late and I really don't want to work right now. So I wanted to uncover some areas of concern, like for example this seam right here, because the tile was buckling here and I wanted to make sure that the plywood's not delaminating or something. It does not seem to be the case. So other than this one section here, this plywood is totally reusable and we're not going to rip it out. I'm going to put my quarter ply directly on top of it. I actually went out and I bought a staple gun, which we're going to need. But I am going to go ahead and screw this plywood down. Hear the squeakiness? That's because the nails have, well, the wood has dried up a little bit around the nails. So the nails don't grab so well anymore, and the wood squeaks up and down that nail. That is an easy fix. All we need to do is screw the plywood down along where the existing nails are. And those nails should be placed above floor joists, I'm hoping. So that way we can screw it right down into the joist. And these little white spots right here, I'm going to see more of that as we get into the field here. Those white spots are where floor wax and floor stripper have seeped through and discolored the plywood. Floor wax stripper is ammonia based, so it's going to cause some discoloration. But you can see that there's definitely a lot of this tar paper that they glued down. They don't do that anymore, and you can't do that anymore because modern tar paper can't withstand that kind of lateral force. So the stuff they made back then was indeed better than what they have today. As a matter of fact, the house is sheathed in the same stuff. They used to use tar paper as sheathing, and it lasts forever, as long as it's not disturbed. There's a couple of other things I want to fix while I'm here. I've got the whole week to do this, really. But I want to go ahead and patch this switch box, or not switch box, but this thing here. This has got to go. Sometime in the 1980s, somebody put, or thought it would be a great idea to put a phone jack right here. Well, we all know that it's a terrible place for a phone because the fridge butts up against it. So I'm thinking that originally the fridge was probably somewhere around here. These cabinets I put in, these were not here. But I do believe the fridge was somewhere in this region, so that would probably make more sense to put the phone there, I guess. But with the configuration it is now, the fridge is within a few inches of that wall. So what I want to do is, like I said, nobody's putting a phone here again. I actually cut the phone line off the house. That's how serious I am about it. And so this is going to come out. We're going to patch this with some drywall. I don't have any drywall scraps left, so I'm going to have to get some. They actually sell a 2x2 square of drywall at the hardware store as for patching purposes. So you don't have to buy a 4x8 sheet to do a little patch like that. And we'll probably just double or triple it up to get it as close to the surface as we can, and then I'm going to put some drywall compound on that. I've got plenty of that on hand. I'm also going to go and buy some more of these panels, and I'm going to finish up what I started over here. That's the plan. I'm going to finish what I started here. I'm going to need a couple panels for that, and this will be all done. I noticed my my outlet box for the stove is cracked. I'm not sure I like that. This is probably this is original, without question. It's never been replaced, nor has it ever needed to be. Maybe I'll leave it alone. Leave well enough alone, right? And hey, buddy. What else do we got going on? Dishwasher. I'm gonna once and for all, I'm gonna fix all this nonsense. I had to rip off the aluminum pieces that I put on here, which left all kinds of damage in the wake, so that's fine. I'm gonna just go ahead and repair all that. What I might actually do is do some repair to this right here. Somebody cut it at an angle, and what I want to do is I'm going to just take this door off, and we're going to surgically remove this piece. We're going to fix this wall. So there used to be a cabinet right here. You can clearly see this was a cabinet originally, and somebody just chopped it out with a hacksaw to put in a dishwasher, probably in the 1980s, of course, as is tradition. So look at this. Yeah, this is the part of the floor that's all rotted. I can pull this up now because I can. And look at that. How bad is it? It's not bad. It's really not. But look at this. Just no effort at all. Yeah, I shouldn't do that. I really shouldn't do that. But we're gonna find. I think all I gotta do is buy a 4x8 sheet of 3/8 ply, or what is it, 7/8 plywood, and we'll nail it or screw it down. But look at how they did this. They didn't even cut the floor. They butchered it. I can do a better job. Once I get this section of plywood out, I can take my Sawzall and I can cut this down to where it needs to be, and we can adjust. Oh yeah, this should have been cut out. There's no need for that there. It looks like the countertop is going in this direction. Yeah, check this out. I mentioned this before, but our countertops are not glued down to plywood. As a matter of fact, they used looks like tongue and groove oak. That's a very old-fashioned way of doing it, but that's what they did. They didn't even take those nails out when they took the cabinet out. And that's something. This is a DIY homeowner job for sure. Somebody did. I mean, I can appreciate what they tried to accomplish, but you can see how the shelf used to go all the way across. And I mean, you know, we need a dishwasher, right? So why not? But they didn't do the greatest job. I mean, it's kind of hokey as hell. But we can fix it. Yes, we can. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that. Maybe take this piece out altogether. This is going to get replaced. I'm going to cut a nice clean edge board. We'll paint it, put it in place. That's going to be finished work. Once I get the floor, I think I'm going to do all this crap once I get the floor prepped for vinyl. In other words, once I get the luan down, I'm going to go around and I'm going to repaint all the trim. And I'm going to repaint all the lower trim and touch up the walls. I'm going to get the wall paint out. We're going to do the touch-up work. We're going to patch that. We're going to fix this. Do all that heavy lifting stuff and get it done. These boards are going to come out, and I'm going to go ahead and put the luan and the plywood down on top. Where it should be. Yeah, this is going to get fixed. Cut. But it's a shame that somebody had a leak-in dishwasher for some time, and it just decimated this section of the floor. Now the subfloor is solid, totally solid, perfectly fine. The subfloor has actually survived all this. I'm telling you, they used good materials back then, and some of it had built-in health hazards, but whatever. Nobody gets to live forever. We all go out in a box. Remember that. And nobody wants to live past 70, because after that it all goes downhill anyways. Just kidding. Actually, no, that's actually been prophetically true, at least with the people I know. But anyway, yeah, this is going to be... Oh, look, an ant. I better get some... Oh, they're going after the cat food that ended up under the cats. They kicked the food underneath the freaking dishwasher. I have to clean that out. They didn't cut this straight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a new piece, and I'm going to cut it to this width right here on the table saw. We'll rip it down, and I think that's just standard pine. I think I can get wood that is exactly the right thickness. If I can't, I'm going to have to buy a planer. Ooh, I want to buy a planer. Everybody should have a planer. But let's just... Yeah, this one looks pretty good. They did a half-decent job there, but this one... What the fuck? Anyway. Good times. Good times. Look at that shit. Yeah, I don't know. I could have done a better job. I kind of wish they didn't do this, because I probably would have. But I might have to cut. Yeah, this is going to have to be chopped out very carefully. Yeah, with the sawzall, very carefully chop that guy out. Oh, I just noticed. Look at this. Oh my god. That can't be taken out. If I take that out, the counter will separate, and we don't want that. But that might explain why the dishwasher had a bit of a width problem. You know what I could do? I could take my chisel, and I can chisel this out a little bit further. Actually, that might not be necessary. Ever since I bought this house, this dishwasher opening has bothered the shit out of me, because you can see how just random, haphazard, half-assed it is. But when you buy a used house, this is what you get. You could buy a brand new house and you'll get tomfoolery like this. But this is just super bad. Alright, well, it's late. It's 10:26. Call it a night, and we'll see what happens in the morning. Till then, guys. Oh man, this one more thing. I just noticed that light switch is crooked. I'll have to fix that while I have the paint stuff, because the paint will chip as soon as I move that light switch plate. And but yeah, we're gonna have nice. I'm gonna get some of that. I'll probably do that after everything is all said and done, and the appliances are back. Everything's good to go, and that's when I'm gonna go ahead and do that backsplash thing. But just you can see, it's funny when you work on something like this, a house. And you start peeling away the layers. If the house is all original like this one is, I mean, you just think about this. The guy who did that probably fought in World War II. This house was built in 1954, so right in the thick of the housing boom. And a lot of those builders were World War II vets. I think I'd say almost all of them. I mean, no, a good chunk of them were World War II vets. Some of them were even World War I vets. Imagine that. Some of the older working crew. Maybe the foreman. They could have been World War I vets. Let's see, 1918. World War I was in 1918. 1916, 17. Let me do the math here. So yeah, World War I was only like 30 to 35, about 30 years prior. So some of the younger World War I vets, they were working on construction sites for sure. But they were the greatest generation. The people who built this house, and let's be honest, it was mostly men that built this house. They were what raised the baby boomer generation. They're the ones who saw the country at its worst and at its best. They grew up mostly during the Great Depression hit them hard, and it's just kind of weird thinking about that. Like, the people that were in this very home swinging hammers and laying down floor tile, they were the ones who really had a big part in saving the world from horribleness. But yeah, I mean, just think about it. You see the trowel marks. You can see this is a good way. You can see the motion that guy did when he spread that adhesive down. You can see the trowel marks, and it can tell you what tooth pitch he used, and these are 4x8 sheets, by the way. So this would have been a 4x8 sheet cut down to fit there. So that actually would go all the way. That line goes all the way to there. That was, I think I measured this out. It was less than 8 feet, or just almost exactly 8 feet from the kickboard to the wall, from kickboard to kickboard, baseboard. And there's another 4x8 sheet. So this line goes all the way. Actually, they did something you're not supposed to do. Check this out. They've got this seam on the seam. You're not supposed to do that. Yes, they have the separating layer. They've got the asphalt sheet. But that's too close to a seam. You don't want to do that. But it's held up. Pretty much. So this tells me that this 4x8 sheet ends right there. In fact, if I were to get my little prying tool, let's pull up a tile. Let's take a look. Alright, so now we have a good idea as to what we're dealing with. I'm using a heat gun, by the way, to reduce tile fragmentation. I'm using a heat gun to get the tiles nice and warm, and they soften up like rubber. And what that's going to do for us is it's going to reduce tile breakage. Makes it a little bit safer to do this. But I want to take a moment and just talk about what I'm doing. So, as I mentioned earlier, these tiles are likely, we'll just say they're likely hazardous due to the material they're made from. Now, I want to talk about if I were to hire a company to come in here and take this up, they're going to charge me. I was quoted about $4,500. I know, right? I'm not paying $4,500 for some rip and strip crew to come in here and tear my house apart. Which, I've watched these crews work. I've taken clues and cues. I work in a facility that had abatement done before, multiple times. And a lot of it is good common sense. Now, the type of material that we're dealing with here is not... It's actually one of the lowest risk materials to work with. I've talked to people who do this for a living. A lot of it, what they do is theater. And I'm not paying for that. No way. I'm taking precautions. I have respirators. Technically, I should have a negative air pressure machine and all that. I can't afford that. I just can't. I'm a homeowner. I'm a consumer. And that's it. I know what needs to be done to do this safely in a reasonable manner. And I'm taking those precautions. Trust me. But I am not paying. Now, the company that I called a couple of them. And they said, oh yeah, because the minimum charge is like $5,000 or something. It was a lot of money. And for them to do this job, they won't leave the plywood. They take the plywood too because of the adhesive. Some of these adhesives contain hazardous materials. And that's that. So, in the United States, or in my state anyway, homeowners do not need permits. They don't need to do anything special to remove this material. I checked on that. There's no law that says I can't do this. And I'm a little frustrated because I want to dispose of this stuff, and I will eventually get rid of it in the right way. And because you can't just throw it away. I'm pretty sure that's not allowed. I've contacted my state, my city. I've contacted every waste management facility in the area. I've contacted so many people, and none of them, not one, will tell me how to get rid of this. Not one. I've contacted removal companies, and I asked them, what do you do with your stuff? They won't tell me. It's very frustrating as a homeowner with a budget that is not sky high. And nobody will tell me how to get rid of this stuff. So my plan is to put it in plastic bins and just hang on to it until I figure it out. What else can I do? What other options do I have? I don't have any options. And that's what's so frustrating. And then I make a video like this, and the Peanut Gallery on YouTube, everybody wants to tell me what to do. Oh, you have to do this. You have to do that. Oh, the law says you have to do this. Laws vary from state to state. In my state, there's no law that says I can't do this. And I think the reason why that is they don't want to touch it. I mean, floors need to be replaced. People don't have $10,000 to remove a good-sized floor. They don't have that kind of money just to remove the floor. Now, like I said, they're going to take all the plywood out for, what was it, $4,500? And this was 2 years ago I called, by the way. The price has gone up since. $4,500, and they're going to strip it out. God only knows what they'll damage in the process because they don't care. And they're probably going to throw the stuff in a dumpster. I mean, seriously, guys. You know, God help the poor folks who have asbestos-sided house. I said the word again. God help the poor folks who have asbestos-sided houses, which was a really popular thing back in the day. One guy was quoted, I think, $30,000 to remove the siding, just to remove only the siding and get rid of it. 30 grand. $30,000. A small house, not much bigger than this one. Thank God I have wood siding with vinyl on top of it. But I just want to take a moment and talk about the elephant in the room. I know what this is. I know it's dangerous. I know. But I have to remove it. I can't put a new floor on top of this because of issues like this. I have to fix that. I have to patch that. I have to, what other areas? I had some areas of concern right there. I thought the plywood was going to be rotted from where the door is. It turns out it's not. And the reason why it's not rotted is because this house has always had a breezeway attached to it. So that's never been exposed to the elements, not ever. And, so thank God for that, right? But I had planned on ripping all the plywood up, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, this plywood's still good. I'm just going to scrape it down and get some of that asphalt off, and then I'll be able to put my Luan on top of it. It's not Luan I'm using. I'm saying Luan, but I mean quarter ply. Anyway, so this is, I'm going to get a lot of comments, a lot of people, a lot of keyboard warriors telling me what I need to do to my house and how I have to do my floor, and I'm not listening to it because I'm doing what I have to do. I have a job to do, and I don't have a choice. I cannot leave this here because what's happening, my lovely loyal viewers, is that it's breaking up. It's actually gotten worse. In a couple of spots, the tiles are curling, and they're just. I had one tile just completely disintegrate. I had to get rid of it. I can't. There's no option. It has to go. At this point, we're at the point of no return. But I have to do this. I cannot leave this here. It's not because I want it to be cool and fun looking. I need this house to be solid and well maintained. But a lot of folks on YouTube don't understand that. They want to share their opinions, demands even, and think that I don't know what I'm doing. They think that they're the only ones who know. The reality is, the world is a complicated place. When a job needs to be done, God damn it, it has to be done. And like I said, I'm not going to go dumping this stuff on the side of the road. That's not the right thing to do. But I'm going to keep plugging away. I'm going to get it off, get it into bins. I got to buy a couple of these bins. Put it away in the basement somewhere, or maybe up in the attic of the garage or something, and I might just start calling around, see if somebody will take it. Try again, if at first you don't succeed, keep trying again. And it's a shame, too, because this floor has held up well. I mean, look at it. This floor is 67 years old, and this is the highest traffic part of the house. And just look at how well it's held up, and it really isn't that bad. In certain areas, it's held up really well. You can see a lot of discoloration. This is close to the original color right here. That is the color, and it was more of a greenish gray. Yeah, here's a piece. It was more of a greenish gray. I'm starting to wonder if it's actually gray. I am wondering about that. Maybe this is gray, not green. But there are so many layers of wax on this floor. So many layers. I don't think they ever stripped this floor. You can actually see right here the wax polymer coating. Look at this. That clear stuff right there. That is layer upon layer upon layer of floor wax. You can actually see the color difference between the original surface and the wax surface. It's incredible how many layers of wax are on this. But, like I said, It's gotta go. But it's held up. I mean, it really has done its job. It's funny. I'm watching like old TV shows like The Wonder Years, which is set in the early 70s, late 60s. And you watch like in the school scenes, and they've got this flooring. I was watching American Horror Story, and there was a scene that took place in a mental institution, I think. Same floor. Oh, it was what episode was that? Yeah, there was a scene that took place in a mental asylum. This is the floor of mental institutions. But yeah, I think this was gray and not green. What's happened is the layers of wax have discolored it and yellowed. And when yellow and gray mix, it can form kind of like a light mint green. Not mint green, but like a greenish hue. But you can see all this. This is wax right here. I'm scraping it off. Look at that shit. Look at how much wax is on that floor. My God. But yeah, you can see there's a little bit of tile there. Now, this tile, for those of you historians and building materials, is more than likely a Ken tile product. I pretty much guarantee you this is Ken tile. Ken Tile's headquarters were in New York City, and we're on the eastern seaboard, so it's not unlikely that that's where this came from. But Ken Tile was a very popular manufacturer of asbestos tile flooring. And the thing is, I'm kind of jealous that they had those materials back then. I mean, sure, the product is, hazardous, but this tile floor came in so many colors. You could get any color you could imagine. They produced it. They had metallics, they had marble, they had solid, they had just so many options and so many colors. You go on eBay right now. If you go on eBay right now, Oreo, no, don't eat that. He's got a piece of asphalt picked out of the trash. This stuff came in so many hues. But if you go on eBay, you can find sample packs. They're still out there. Mostly collectors have them. And they would come in like the most vibrant shades of blue and red. In the 1950s and 60s, really, any color you can even think of, they did it. And I look at the flooring options we have today are quite pedestrian in comparison. I was looking at different options, and of course I can't easily buy Armstrong. I can get it, but it's harder to get if I'm not a flooring contractor. But the product that I bought only comes in two colors, black and white. So naturally, that's what I'm doing. But like I said, the stuff they had back in the day, oh my God, so many choices. And all of them looked pretty good, except for they had wood tone. They had it was a version of this tile that came in like a wood grain. And how they made this stuff is pretty cool. It's mixed in this, it's heated and mixed, and they roll it out on a press. And what they do is they introduce these little bits of color. In this case, they used white, and these little granules would be dropped into the. I used to be a printer, and I know I have an idea as to how this was done. But in the machine that rolled out, they came out in big sheets, and then they would chop it up. But they would intermix these little bits of recycled vinyl, asbestos composite or whatever the hell they used, into the mix as it's being rolled out, and that's how you get these little color streaks. But like I said, You can sit at your keyboard all you want and complain about what I'm doing. Tell me what I'm doing wrong and why I'm doing it wrong, and it's not going to change anything. It's got to be removed. I don't want to do this. You think I want to do this? There are so many other things I'd rather do on my vacation than to tear a floor up. But I gotta do what I gotta do, man. I don't suggest you do this. Now, if you buy a house that has this kind of flooring in it, and and as long as it's in good shape, as long as it's not crumbling, as long as you don't have any rotted underlayment like I do there, you can leave this in place. You still have to disclose it when you sell the house, but you can leave it. But you can go over it, and there's many options available today. But as I was actually getting to that, the options for flooring available to consumers today is nothing like it was back then. You have what seems to be 50 shades of gray tile. Some wood grain, some not. I'm sorry, but I don't like the gray wood grain look on my floor. It's just not my thing. And that's what seems to be hashtag trending right now. So that's all you can buy. That and fake wood. Pergo. Pergo is such a joke. Don't use Pergo in your house, guys. It's crap. It looks bad. It ages badly. It's just, there's better choices. Trust me. They cost more. But, yeah, all I can see right now in the like Lowe's and Home Depot is like house flipper grays and not much else. I could have done a tile floor, but I didn't find any options that would go with this kitchen. And I don't like the look of a grouted floor. I like this. There's no grout lines. It just looks good if it's done right. I'll see if I can do it right. But, well, on that note, oh yeah, speaking of deadly things, that fire extinguisher, yeah, that's a 1958 Badger. I got that from a coworker. It was in his house before he was selling his house, and that was in the basement. I'm like, give me that fire extinguisher. So the guy who I rebuilt the Commodore for, that was it. That was in his house. He sold it, and actually he gave me the fire extinguisher. He didn't even charge me for it. But that's full of tetrachloro CTC, carbon tetrachloride. That'll fuck you up. And it's full. Yes, it's full. I have not opened it, but it is full. Never used. My fear is once I open that thing up, there's no sealing it back up. And that stuff is like a neurotoxin. So that's just there for show. We don't actually plan on using it. There's a real fire extinguisher on the other side of that door. Like right in there. But I just thought I'd share that. Yeah, carbon tet. See, in the 1950s, it was safety first. No, it wasn't. It was safety last, production first, and whatever worked. But it speaks for itself. I mean, these tiles have held up so well. And it's a shame because a lot of schools and hospitals unnecessarily rip this stuff up, which they could have left it and just to put some newer stuff down. This stuff is good. It'll last forever. It'll outlast vinyl. The stuff I'm putting down isn't going to last 67 years. Promise. I promise that. That is a Scout's honor. How does that work? Scout's honor? Anyway. I can do that. I just can't do it right now. But, yeah. I got a lot of work ahead of me. It's going to be a rough week. But if I keep making that, I mean, I just did. This took me about maybe half an hour or so. Once I get rolling, I'll have this floor ripped up by probably lunchtime tomorrow, if I play my cards right. And then I'll be looking at patching in that floor right there. And I gotta buy a full sheet of plywood, and I'm gonna have it cut down in the store so I can get it into my car. That's how I have to transport plywood, by the way. And because I can't fit a 4x8 sheet in my car. So we'll do that, patch it in. Make sure I get the right thickness. It's either 7/8 or 3/4. I don't know what they used. I have to look into that. Once I cut that piece out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that's a full 4x8 sheet. So I'm going to, I'm just going to just cut it probably that way. And we'll just pop in a section. Be done with it. As long as the thickness matches. And then I'm going to take a sander and I'm going to sand the edges so that they match up. We don't want any sharp transitions, no matter how small. So, any hoozles. He really wants to. Finally, he's eating that. That's been there all day. He wouldn't touch it. Now he's getting desperate. And on that note, have a good night.